Hey everybody, welcome to Last Week from the Table for January 26, 2021. I'm your host, DM Gallibond. Alright, so this last week we had 3 sessions that were good, but not great. Um, and when I talk about the performance in sessions, I'm always grading myself. I don't I try not to grade my players. Sometimes I gripe a little bit about the players, but at the end of the day, it's more about the DM not responding to the players in a way that makes the session really pop and really memorable. So Thursday, we finally ended this long detour that the characters got me in by zagging when I thought they were going to zig back in November. We closed out a little loop and went on to the next part of the adventure that I had been intending to get to much earlier. Then on Saturday, we had and the worst thing about Thursday is that our new gung ho player, he had a power outage, so he wasn't able to join us. And so during the session, we were all kind of, oh man, we really enjoyed having Paul with us. Hope he's gonna be back. And then come to find out later through Discord, yep, power outage. He wasn't able to join us. All right. So then Saturday we had um, our players a full house basically for the Lost Mine of original D&D, and that was kind of fun. It was more a lot of RP and a little bit of fighting. They did find out the dangers of giant spiders in that game, and then Sunday in our Walker of Waterdeep game, we were trying to get done with the fight and get to a place, and it just felt a little, I don't know, felt a little bit like we weren't all on the same page. But oh well. Enough of that preamble. Let's go ahead and get on with the show. All right. So, Sword Coast Chronicles. In this particular episode or this particular session, we were dealing with the fallout of going into the uh, Eternal Flame Temple. And I tell you what, the party, they realized as they got in there, they realized, oh, this is probably not going to be a winnable fight, is it? So, to their credit, they decided, all right, let's run. But they did have a little trick up their sleeve. And boy, howdy, they pulled it off. It was wonderful. Um, the They were in an area of the temple where there were priests on one side. There was a big, huge lava pit on another side. There was a force of hobgoblins on another side. And there was one way out. Because they had actually done something that blocked off another exit that they might have used by a spell that they had cast earlier in the combat. So they had kind of boxed themselves in where they only had one way out that wasn't being actively blocked. So they decided to go through there, but then as they started going that way, they encountered an Ifrit. And they thought, "Oh no," or most of the players thought, "Oh no, this is not gonna go well," and the bard is like, "It's time to be heroic." So the bard cast suggestion on the Ifrit, and the Ifrit failed its wisdom save. So the suggestion that the bard gave it is, uh, "Hey, go kill our enemies in this temple." And the Ifrit is like, "Whoa, well, yeah, okay, of course. All these cultists, who do they think they are? They're not actual fire people. To battle!" And the Ifrit goes off and just finds the first fire elemental it sees and says, "Come with me." And they start going and fighting there. And the party decided, nope, not going to stay around to see how this happens. As long as the bard can maintain concentration, we're just running the other way. So they they got to the first place where they could turn and run, and they ran. And as they ran, unfortunately, because they didn't have their dwarf, the dwarf player was the one that, or the player that plays the dwarf barbarian is the one that couldn't make the session, and uh, he wasn't able to do his normal checks on stonework, so they missed the dwarven traps that had been there, which basically sealed off the tunnels once they got into the tunnel and flooded it with toxic gas that knocked them out. And when they woke up sometime later, they were no longer in that temple. They were in a wizard's lab. But it wasn't just any wizard's lab, it was the lab of a lich. And this lich had told them a story about how he had once been a member of a uh, company that were Knights of Tyr, and that he had studied lichdom and had been struck down in battle. And so his brother, who was a paladin, trying to save him, grabbed a potion, shoved the potion down his throat. Well, it happened to be a potion of lichdom instead of a healing potion. And then the brother, of course, didn't have the heart, nor probably the ability to destroy his undead brother. So the paladin went one way, the lich went the other way, and the lich eventually found this abandoned monastery and began using it as a hideout, and down below ground began constructing a mausoleum for his brother that he thought, or actually his two brothers, because he knew that whatever the order was going to make for his two brothers, however heroic they were, it wasn't going to be good enough. And so he spent centuries of contemplation and study and occasionally creating more undead servants to help him work on this mausoleum. And that was all going along well um, until the Black Earth cult came. And the Black Earth cult sort of deceived the Lich into thinking they were going to just also be quiet studies and, oh yeah, well, we'll actually have help out if you want us to with this mausoleum work. Um, and then as time went on, he realized, oh, these guys, they're a cult. And he knew that was going to attract adventurers. And he kind of studied the cult and realized, oh, they're just one of four cults. And when the adventurers came and disrupted the fire temple, Renwick the Lich said, okay, this is my chance. And in the chaos that ensued, Renwick and his army of undead just went and literally cleaned house. you know, destroyed the destroyed the leaders uh, of the four cults and scattered their followers to the four winds, and at least for a time have abated the threat of elemental evil. But Renwick has had visions, and part of his visions are visions of dragons destroying the world. Part of his visions are of an eye seeking destruction on the world, and one of his visions is of some great evil clawing its way up to the surface from the Underdark. And so he's like, all right, I pulled your butts out of the fire, literally. So now you're going to do something for me. You're going to go to the Underdark and figure out what's going on. Um, and if you don't want to do that, I can just kill you and you can become servants working on my brother's mausoleum. So the party was like, okay, fine, we'll go do that. Um, but of course, this now takes them even further away from the uh, from the cult of the dragon that they had been chasing in the first place. So when we come back next week, they are going to be in Gracklestug and um, starting to look into the problems that are going on there. Uh, by the insistence of the Lich Renwick. And by the way, the Lich did uh, offer uh, offer up something to them. Did say, all right, if you do this for me, if you figure out what's going on, if you stop all of this stuff, then when you come back, I'll have two more tasks for you. First task is um, go to the keep where the descendants of my brother's order are and bring their remains here to put in this mausoleum. And the second half of it is I will hand you my phylactery because I'm constructing a third tomb. And I've started to realize that as much as I thought I could be a lich and just study for the rest of eternity, it turns out there's actually evil forces that are trying to turn me into something I don't want to be. And so, as soon as I finish my own crypt, it'll be time for me to be ended, and I'll let you guys do the honors. So they they're like, okay, fine, we'll do that. So that's Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. Come and see what happens when this group of guys that think they have been chasing dragons suddenly winds up in Gracklestug trying to figure out what's going on there. Then on Saturday, Lost Mine of Original D&D, we had a party of 4 once again, which was nice. And no, actually we didn't. I'm sorry, we didn't. Travis wasn't able to make it on Saturday night, and so we had the uh, we had the two ladies, and we had Jason, who's our new player. We had Amira and Goonie and Jason there playing, and they were still in the town, and they went to investigate this noise that they had heard while they were talking to the dragon last week. And they went over and they discovered some little canine-looking small humanoids. It's very interesting because in later editions, those canine-looking humanoids would eventually become draconic-looking small humanoids because these are kobolds. So in original D&D, kobolds were dog-like humanoids that were basically the small versions of gnolls. Uh, so they're the small race that's kind of gnoll-like. But in later editions, they somehow went from being dog-like humanoids to being draconic humanoids. The they they established some friendly relations because uh, the the kobolds speak chaotic, and the thief in the party also speaks chaotic, so they were able to talk to each other, and so they didn't have to fight them. And they found out that there's some stinky dead thing or stinky not dead things that are in the village. They confirmed what the dragon told them on where they can find Agatha over on the other end of the village. And they also discovered that there's some giant spiders in the village. And so the kobolds were uh, wanting to see if the heroes might do something about the stinky, not dead things and the spiders. Didn't expect the party to do anything about the dragon. They had learned that if they stay inside during the day and wait until the dragon flies off to hunt at night, then they have a few hours that they can be out at night, when the dark is better for their eyes anyway. Uh, and they don't have to be they won't be in danger of getting eaten by the dragon. So, and also the fact that the dragon is there, it keeps other predators away from the village, because uh, nothing, uh, nothing comes and messes with the dragon. So they talked with them, and then they said, "Well, we're going to go deal with Agatha." But on the way to Agatha, they got jumped by giant spiders. And they discovered that giant spiders are no joke in this edition. Amy got bitten and failed her save against poison. So she realized that she had about 10 minutes to live, because you fail, you get one save against poison, and then if you don't get cured of the poison in 10 minutes, you die. The cleric is still first level, so the cleric doesn't have any healing spells. So, and a potion of healing won't do any good for poison. So the party had to go and finish off the spiders. A couple of other people got bit, but nobody else got poisoned, thank goodness. And when they finally drove off the second spider, because it was very low on hit points and it failed its morale check at the in the last round of combat, it went skittering off using its web ability, which means it just runs extremely fast away from the battle. Um, the One of the NPCs, Sildar, has uh, an ointment that acts like a potion of poison, of cure poison. And so he applied this ointment to the wound and was able to save Amy. Uh, but Amy was a little delirious, and so Amy decided, when the rest of the party suggested that they get a long rest, Amy decided that it would be a good idea to go over and try to get a long rest with the dragon. Well, the dragon really wasn't into that, and so the dragon had to get a little bit insistent with Amy that no, that's not happening. Go away. What? You're still here? I thought I told you go away. Okay, human, now you're starting to annoy me. If you don't go away, by the time I finish my countdown, I'm going to breathe on you. 5, 4, and then uh, finally Amy decided, okay, I've got to, I've got to rethink this and maybe do that later. So she's now started thinking, I wonder if I can research a scroll or a spell um, to charm dragons. There's a charm person spell. There's a charm monster spell. Wonder if there's a charm dragon spell. Hey, it's D&D. If you can figure out what the right components are, if you can pitch it to the DM, you can make it something fun, then maybe there might be. So, Uh, we still haven't gotten to that stupid banshee, so hopefully we'll get to that on Saturday night. We left the party with a long rest, and then figuring, okay, we're gonna go deal with the banshee, and then once we finish dealing with the banshee, we'll try to go over and maybe investigate these undead things. Um, but one thing that did happen is when night fell, while the party was resting, the dragon did fly away, and when it flew back in the morning, there was a thud on the ground. And when they ran out from the house that they were staying in and looked on the ground, it was half of the mask that they had given Grista when they sent her off, because they had told they had told the dragon about sending Grista off on the horse. So apparently the dragon went hunting and got itself dwarf and horse snack. So that's Lost Mine of Original D&D. Join us 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday nights on twitch.tv/Gallibond. Then on Sunday, we finished up our battle with the um, ogres. And during the week, we had a good discussion offline during the week. The party, uh, it turns out that I had kind of been misreading some signals from the party. Um, the party has this tendency every time we go somewhere and we meet with friendly NPCs, they want to challenge them to duels. And it's like, okay, so you guys want to fight more. So uh, in this particular plane, I have been giving them a lot more opportunities for combat. And they're like, and during the week, they're like, it feels like we're having too much combat and not enough RP. Oh, really? Okay. So when we finished up the combat, uh, I just allowed them to get on to the next destination where they were going to be, and I kind of rewrote how that was going to work, so that I took out a little bit more combat and put in more opportunities for RP, and so we got through that session. And then in Table Talk, after we turned off the stream, they had a couple of ideas of things that they wanted to do while they are at that particular location. So we are going to pick up next Sunday at 2 p.m. with opportunities for the party to do some more um, intra-group RP activity. They will. They will have the chance to discuss with each other and um, interact with each other and do a little bit more of the RP that they say they want to do. So if that's what they're craving, I'm happy to let them do that, because quite frankly, fewer encounters for me, that means a little less work in terms of setting those things up. And instead of setting up things with monsters, I can set up more things where the NPCs have maybe a little bit more personality and a little bit seem a little bit more individual, and are not NPCs that are there basically to uh, help further the plot in between combats. So that will be good. So I'm working on doing some rewrites for the rest of this particular plane that we are in to be able to accommodate more of what the party is telling me that they want. And then we might wind up having a little. I don't think we're going to have a break in having games on Sunday afternoon, but we might have a little break in the Walker of Waterdeep at the end of this plane, so that I can sort of write the next plane in a way that's going to be a little bit more appealing to what the players want. So next plane is a place that I've been waiting to get to for a while, because it's a particular It's a particularly I have a particular soft spot for this plane in the lore of Magic the Gathering because it's my kind of um, it's just my kind of chaos in this particular plane, and it really appeals to me. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully I can do something that will make that a uh, memorable thing for the players when they get there. All right, so that's Walker of Waterdeep, Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, over on twitch.tv/Gallibond. Hey, thank you guys all for checking us out. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell, and look in the description so that you can find out how to follow me on social media and where you can find all of the live streams that I do. And with that, I will just remind you, try to make your games memorable so that your players and you will have tales that you can tell from your table as well. Good night, everybody.